When Angels Sing by Melanie Stiles. 2 days before her school program, my youngest announced, "I'm singing Silent Night." Having raised two daughters ahead of her, I knew 9-year olds aren't particularly great on details. I delved deeper. "Right now?" I asked. "No. In the play, I'm singing solo," she proudly proclaimed. What is solo? Doing a vocab check to see if she knew what she was saying. Turns out she did, and that puzzled me. Charlotte loved to sing. She sang in the shower and the car and just about everywhere else, but my baby had been partially tone deaf since she first opened her mouth. She could carry a tune a bit better now than last year or even the year before. Actually, I fully expected her musical ear to reach a level very close to normalcy as she grew older, but I didn't think she'd improved enough yet to sing a solo. Not wanting to voice any lack of confidence in her abilities and reminding myself that all things are indeed possible, especially in grade school, I stopped questioning. Even though our oldest had already moved away from home, I still have two teenagers. We picked up an extra one along the way. Due to her family's sudden and avoidable job relocation, my middle daughter's best friend was living with us until the end of the school year. 48 hours after Charlotte's announcement, the proverbial plot thickened. I temporarily forgot teenagers can be worse than 9-year olds when it comes to details. Both Monica, my daughter, and Corina, our temporary daughter, admitted that they also were to partake in a Christmas program on the same night as Charlotte. Karina was to sing a solo as well. Monica was to play a piano piece. The new question formed. How was I to be in two places at one time? My break came when I found out the older girls would be performing an hour later than the younger. I could try for both. Something had gone dreadfully wrong. Charlotte stood facing me in the auditorium 5 minutes after I had dropped her backstage. Her little eyes glistened with unshed tears, and her mouth quivering so violently she couldn't speak. "What happened, baby?" I couldn't imagine. Just then the teacher approached. "Mrs. Stiles, there's been a mistake. Charlotte wasn't picked to sing with the choir tonight, and somehow she's gotten the idea she is to sing a solo. I'm afraid there is no part cast for her. I feel just terrible about this." Looking into my child's grief stricken face and feeling a mother's rage, I thought, "You don't know how terrible you're about to feel after I get done with you." "Mama, can we go?" Her little voice finally broke through in utter anguish. "Of course, baby," I said, tossing the teacher in "I'll deal with you later" look. My first concern now was how to mend my daughter's wounded heart. Teenagers may be lousy at time with details, but they tend to pay attention to those who enter and leave their immediate environment. I think that comes from a wariness that they might get caught doing what they ought not to be doing. It took all of 3 minutes for both girls to figure out that we were in the high school auditorium. I offered to skip the program and take Charlotte for an ice cream, but she wanted to see her sister and Karina perform. "You guys are here early." They resembled two parrots. Their heads darted back and forth between Charlotte and me in unison. Perched on the backs of the seats in front of us, they waited, clearly expecting an explanation. I quickly and briefly hit the high points, wary of starting a new avalanche of tears. Sincere sympathy splashed up from the countenance of both girls. "Come with us, Charlotte. You can see backstage and meet our friends." The invitation to hang out with the cool kids beat any flavor of ice cream anywhere. I nodded my blessing and they disappeared. I completely forgot about picking up a program when I entered the building. I had no way of knowing in what order the girls would be performing. But after the second act, Karina walked out to center stage. Then she looked left and held out her hand. Out walked Charlotte. The auditorium fell silent at the sight of the younger child. The music started. Charlotte looked up, and at Karina's nod, my baby began to softly sing Silent Night. Karina's smooth soprano joined her in just enough volume to cover any mistakes. The combination was ethereal, both sang to a captivated audience. I wasn't the only one with tears running down my cheeks. Somewhere during their duet, Monica's hand slipped into mine, and we celebrated the true meaning of Christmas together. All of my previous agitation slipped away as I watched this magnificent moment orchestrated by God. They simply and silently walked off stage when they were done, receiving a standing ovation as they went. Karina returned alone to do her originally planned solo. It was then I realized there was more to this Christ filled moment than we saw being performed. Monica, why aren't you backstage? I whispered. Don't need to be, she said, grinning. I gave up my piano piece so the squirt could sing. How many times had I seen my two girls argue, bicker, and fight? Too many to count. I couldn't recall one time when I'd heard one tell the other I love you with any sort of sincerity in their voices. Until now, not in words, but deed, my Christmas was complete before we ever went to church or opened gifts or shared our family meal. I had already witnessed the miracle of three angels singing. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the story.